Hi guys, I'm Woodcraft Hamster, and I thought I'd just do a quick follow-up to my carving tips series. Now, what I wanted to talk about today was essentially that practice makes perfect. Now, I know that's fairly obvious, but I got thinking about this not long ago, and I thought back to when I very first started carving, and hopefully some of the tips in that series have been useful for some people. But I thought back to, when did I start carving? I mean, we're talking a fairly long time ago, to be honest. And my very first thing that I carved was a spoon, and it probably took me about 2.5 to 3 weeks to make it. I really didn't have much of a clue what I was doing. It was all very much trial and error. And over the years, I've lost count of the amount of spoons that I've carved. It's something I do pretty much every time I go away for a trip. I like to make a spoon while I'm out, use that for eating with. There's quite a nice sort of satisfaction to doing that. But nowadays, I can probably make a usable spoon, maybe not anything particularly pretty, but certainly something that's perfectly serviceable, within about an hour. And really all that comes down to is practice. Now, I'm certainly not the world's best spoon carver. There's a lot of guys on YouTube who have sort of carving channels and things like that, and they certainly make much nicer spoons than I do. But at the end of the day, for me, it's not so much about what it looks like, though I do like to try and make them look at least a little bit pretty, but it's more to do with the fact that what used to take me a considerable length of time, I can now do fairly quickly, and that's just through repetition and practice over and over again. So again, if you're new to carving, and you followed my series and you've picked up hopefully a few little tips from there, my biggest piece of advice to anyone is to just get out there and start carving. Whether it's brilliant quality wood, whether it's just what you can get your hands on, just start practicing. Now, I've got down here a little selection. I'll bring the camera a little bit closer. You have to excuse my dodgy camera work here, but this is a small selection of spoons that I've made over the years. Some of these are quite old, some of them are a little bit newer, but as an example, this is one that I'm working on at the moment. It's only really roughed out, so we're ready to sort of final finishing off. I haven't got the very first spoon I made, believe it or not. That got lost in a move a while back, which is very unfortunate, but it was sort of fairly reminiscent of this. Now, this is not the world's nicest looking spoon by any means, but I'm pretty sure this is one of the ones that I made while I was out camping at one point, and I didn't take anything with me deliberately so that I had to make something to use to eat. And this is a perfectly serviceable, usable spoon. But this probably took me, I don't know, maybe a couple of hours while I was out. It was some time ago, but it's perfectly good for using for eating. This one was more just something, a little practice piece, just to sort of try and do something a bit different. This one again was something I knocked up a while back. Again, very basic, very simple design, but perfectly serviceable. And this one, which I was actually really proud of at the time, it's still quite a nice spoon. You've got, it's a Welsh love spoon, and I liked the idea of being able to carve something in that looked very fluid, and that's kind of really what I was wanting to do. But again, all these spoons, every single spoon that I've carved has taught me something, whether it was something detailed like this, of how difficult it is to try and carve out a sort of a recess and sort of take it all the way through. I mean, this took me weeks to make this spoon, but I was really pleased with how it came out, and you got the detail on there. Things like this, how to do this little cross piece at the top without completely ruining it. Now, it's not perfect by any means, but I've kept this one because I still quite like it, and it was a nice little sort of first try at this kind of thing. And then again, even really simple things like this, getting the curves in so that the bowl meets the handle. All these things, every time I carve a spoon, especially if I'm using different types of wood, it tells me a little bit more about how to do it, and maybe how to do it better. Things like this, I've now started sort of putting in little curves and things just to make them a little bit more decorative. And really the whole thing is a learning experience, but as I say, what I wanted to say, and the point I wanted to make, was that basically when you're carving, whether it's spoons, bowls, whatever it is, just try and make as many as you can. You're going to ruin a few, you know, that is one of the downsides of carving, but you know, hopefully by ruining something you'll actually be able to pick up and see what it is you've done wrong and know not to do it the next time. Right then guys, well that was just a few thoughts from me just to sort of finish up and close off this carving tips series. I hope you found it useful, and as I say, you know, biggest tip of the day for me is, you know, just get out there and start carving. You know, if you ruin it, you ruin it, but you know, every time you make something, whether it works or not, you do learn something from that process. Now, if there's anything on this series that you think I've missed out, if there's any tips that you particularly would like, if you're trying to make something or you've made something and you want to know if there's a better way of doing it, by all means drop me a message in the comments. Please let me know. I'll happily do a video if it's something I've got any knowledge on. But I hope it was useful guys. Comments and questions in the box below. Hit like and subscribe if you'd like to see more, and I hope you'll all join me next time. Thanks guys.